did actually see it before. So here's another one. There's a mercenary called Moof, or whatever. So he's designed around basically creating little crappy dudes, shroomkins that are 1/1s. And then he's got these crazy abilities, passives. So you got chance. Basically, he's all about getting that random chance happening. So when you play a card, you've got a chance of gaining health. At the start of your turn, you've got a chance to gain more wild resources, which is the green one. So you'd run him obviously in a green deck. Well, actually, no, that's not necessary. But you would you'd want to run him in a deck where you can play lots of cards, and also things probably with big creatures, since you are going to be hopefully creating a lot of resources from his passives here. And then at the start of your turn as well, he's got the ability to create the Mustachioed Gang, 1% chance, which that's actually something interesting here. I'll see if I can actually bring that up. On the Hex Datamind side here, they've got the Champions section, so I'm pretty sure it has the Mercenaries in here. Yes, it does. So we can have a look at some of the other Mercenaries, but the Mercenaries, as I say, they're all with a clear goal in mind. They have a pretty set way to be played. You can't really customize them to how you know, that's what their champions are for. And Mercenaries are things you can also collect. Mercenaries are, however, things in the game that you can't trade. They're, you know, stuck with your account. You can't then just trade it off on the auction house, for example. But pretty much everything else in the game, as far as I remember, is pretty much tradable, except for these guys. So here's just some different mercenaries that you can get. There's heaps of them in the game, and they're going to always add more. I think, so I'm going to click on this guy, since we've just had a look at what some of his passives were, and we'll see if it... No, it doesn't. I was going to see if I could bring up that Mustachioed Gang. But yeah, so I'll go into Champions to give you guys a look at those as well. See what this shows. Chuck it to the large view. So they're the different champions you can pick. These are the PvP ones, I believe. Yeah, these are all the PvP champions. And you know, as I said, with the PvE champions, they're ones you level up and you customize completely for yourself, and you're free to change them as much as you like. Like this image here, this guy's got, you know, got the skill tree. So as you level up, you might pick this for one deck or pick that for a different one, and so on. So that's the champions and mercenaries, and they're completely PvE related, whereas the champions here, they're all the PvP ones, because they need to be balanced. Otherwise you'd have stuff going out of control in PvP. It needs to be basically a even playing field for everyone. So yeah, that's that. Let's go back to the Kickstarter, see what else we have to look at. Some more of the mercenaries, and another PvE card. So again, you can't play these in PvP. So there's another one, some more mercenaries.
But that troop, that card makes me really want to play it, the Spectral Assassin. It's another reason why something digital is just so strong.
Yeah.
You can't do anything like that.
Yeah, this is a good example of something you can do in a digital. So basically this guy here, PvE only, but so as the game starts, you know, say you've got 4 of them in your deck, for example, it'll then randomly select a troop in your opponent's deck. So say you're up against a raid boss, it might have, say, 60 cards in its deck. It'll pick a random troop in that deck, so when that raid boss then plays it, as long as you've got this threshold met, so say you've got 2 Sapphire you've played previously, that the raid boss then plays that troop that's being stalked, this will trigger, and this guy you'll be able to actually... Does he need to be in your hand? It's not... Probably does need to be in your hand, not too sure.
Yeah, it does.
Actually, he probably needs to even be in play, wouldn't he? Oh no, sorry. So yeah, as long as he's in your hand and you've met this threshold, the opponent plays the creature that's being stalked. You play this guy for free and he destroys it. So he's very powerful. Put 4 of those in your deck and you get, you know, free removal. I'm not 100% sure if he needs to be in your hand. Maybe, I'm not sure. It's not too clear there. Probably, I would say so. Otherwise, it'd probably be too good. So yeah, that's a good example of a digital card, as the fact that you wouldn't really see that in a physical environment. It'd just be too hard to, like, you'd have to put like a sticker on their card to that's the troop I'm stalking, and so on, and nightmares. So it's a
Ooh, moment of glory there. That's your next best bet for digital. It gives you a chance to just go completely insane. Um, it sits in your deck, and there is I believe it's a 10% chance when your creature is attacking or blocking to get +8/+8. However, it can trigger from inside your deck, so it'll sit there and it'll go, okay. It'll roll a little dice and go, okay. 2 of these trigger, suddenly your guy's gotten an extra 16 bigger, and your opponent's just like, wait, what?
yeah, exactly. It's a lot of and that's a PVE card. Like in PvP, that would probably be too insane, especially for its cost. It's only a 4 cost, and the stuff it does is just completely bonkers. But yeah, they've said many times that the PvE is going to be extremely challenging. So, and as I said before, the AI in the game is going to have its own unique set of cards, like over 400 cards, and that's stuff you can't actually play with, and it's all going to be pretty crazy. I think they actually did on their website. They revealed a couple of cards recently. What the was it on this page? I think it might have been in here. Yeah, it was in here. I'm pretty sure. So here's some PvE AI dungeon and raid cards that the computer plays. This is cards you're never going to be able to play. This is just for the dungeons. The dungeon. This is, I think these two are from a dungeon. So this creature here, the AI will play against you, and then they'll just start getting attack dogs. Every time it's their start of their turn, they'll just keep creating attack dogs against you. That's not that dangerous compared to something like the Ruby Golem. So the Ruby Golem is something that can get really out of hand really quickly. It's only a 4 cost, so the computer could put it into play very quickly, and then at the start of their turn, it creates a copy of that troop and puts it into play. So it starts off as 1, and then there's 2, and then there's 4 and 8, and then you're dead. So that's a pretty dangerous card. And that's just an example of how the AI, their cards are completely bonkers, and you're gonna have to construct decks. You're obviously gonna need removal to get rid of this guy before he starts duplicating out of hand, and then you can't deal with him. Here's another one it's a computer-only card, which I think is what the grey symbol means. So this one's just a flight troop. So if you're playing in a raid, for example, this troop enters play, it chooses a champion, so it could pick you or one of your mates, and then your mates can't actually target that troop. So if you're in trouble and one of your mates has a spell that could kill it, and they get targeted, he can't do anything about it. So your other mate or yourself would have to deal with it. And then say your mates beat a raid. Here's some examples. I think these might actually be some of the raid boss rewards. So I'll bring that up in a bigger window so you guys can see some of the cool stuff you can earn in PvE.
Yeah, those ones are rewards for either winning dungeons or the raids. They're meant to be big, strong, splashy cards that you have to earn by playing. You're not going to be able to just randomly pick them up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, basically at the end of a raid, there's a table of loot, that the game will roll against, similar to an MMO, and you've got a chance of getting a whole list of items, and so you might get the one you want. You might have to do the raid again and keep trying to get the card you want. So if this guy, for example, it's a constant, which those of you familiar with Magic, it's the same as basically an enchantment. So this goes into play and it'll just sit off to the side and affect the whole board. So when a troop you control dies, instead of it going to the graveyard, you void it, which is basically just getting, I guess, how would you explain that? Just removing it from the game, basically, never to be seen again. And then, basically, if 5 or more troops have been voided this way, you then sacrifice this constant, and you put those troops, so I did say they weren't ever to be seen again, this brings them back. So voided cards, normally which you wouldn't see again, this thing here allows you to, when you lose your creatures, you lose 5, then you bring them all back into play. So very powerful card. Probably something a lot of people will want to run in a PvE deck, because that is just completely bonkers. You can just attack it will, lose your guys, and bring them back. You will obviously lose the constant, so you wouldn't want to just use it on 5 little crappy dudes. You'd want to try and get the best effect out of that, and then we'll go on to the next card here, Gront's favourite pet. So he's another big guy. So when this troop enters play, it voids all troops from all graveyards, and it gets a permanent attack and permanent defense equal to all those troops combined. So if there's a lot of troops everyone's great. So in a raid where there's going to be you and 2 other mates, and then the raid boss itself, that's a lot of graveyards to pull from. So it'll clear out all those, all the troops from all graveyards, and then this guy just comes in at like 50-50 or something crazy. He obviously still can, however, be removed by something like a murder or just a removal. If he, however, being, you know, because it's digital and the effects are permanent, so he's buff if they don't, you know, for example, say he gets put into the graveyard or back into your hand. If you're able to bring him back into play somehow, he's still going to have that previous buff that he got. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Next card here, Information Control. So another one you can win from dungeons or raids. Basic action, look at the top 5 cards of target champion's deck. You may void any number of those cards, then put the rest back. So that's pretty good. Being able to look at, say you're in a raid against a raid boss, you can look at their top 5 cards and go, oh, those first 3 are really dangerous, let's get rid of those, and then leave the 2 lands, or, you know, the 2 resources, for example, and that way you don't have anything to really worry about for a few turns. So that's just some of the examples there of the reward cards you get from the PvE experience. Then you got some more PvP cards. So here's a good one to bring up, because this is another thing this one shows is another feature of being digital only, is they have socketable cards. So here's the socket in the card. So this guy here is 6 cost, 2 wild threshold with crush. Now crush is similar to to trample in Magic the Gathering. So if he's gets blocked by something with 3 health, for example, 3 of his damage will then spill over and hit the champion. You can also pay 3 and give him flight as well. But yeah, onto the socket. So what I'll do is I'll go back over here. Let me see whereabouts it is. I'm not too sure where it is now. Gameplays. There we go. I found it. Socketable cards. Or socketed cards. So socketed cards, it's another unique feature to Hex. So what you can do is you can basically, there's I think 20 different gems in the game, from I think there's like 10 different minor ones and 10 major gems, and everyone has access to those gems at any time. So if you were to include this guy into your deck, you can then pick which, you know, being a major guy, you know, he's socketable major, so therefore you're most likely going to be putting a major gem in there because they give you the better effects. So some of those, here's an examples of what those effects are. So we'll go to the major ones. So basically, there's another socketable card there. So we'll look at this example since it is showing us what it's doing. So it's in this card, for example, it's put a sapphire gem in there, and what it does is when this guy comes into play, not only does he do this effect here, that is the standard effect of coming into play, which is quite powerful by itself, the sapphire gem makes it so you can play this guy as if he was a quick action. So on your turn or your enemy's turn, at any point you can, for example, say they attack you, and they think you can't block. Suddenly he's played in, and then you block and you kill off maybe 2 creatures because of his ability, and the fact that you can then block maybe a 1/1 or something. And so that's a pretty cool effect. The diamond gem here makes it so when you target, what's this one? The troop per target troop you control gains defense equal to this. So basically, instead of his normal effect when he comes in is he gives basically +2/+2 to one of your other creatures in play. If you use the diamond, it'll give him +2/+4. If you're using the wild gem, this is not something you're likely to use because it's just a minor gem. So the major ones look more fancy, cut gems, I guess. So yeah, the major effects. So for example, when he comes into play, you can make it battle a target troop. So because he's fairly weak to begin with, you might have something that buffs him up when he comes into play, like in the Inspire mechanic that we showed earlier. So it might make him a bit stronger, and then you can choose which creature you want to battle and then kill it for free, basically. And you've got all these different effects that drastically change how the cards work. So it's a way of customizing the cards to how you want to play it. The only downside is that if you do put a Sapphire Gem in this guy, for example, being a wild card,